So before we start, I know I sound like horrible. Carnival was a few days ago in Trinidad and Tobago, so my voice is absolutely shot. But it's time to talk about the Toronto Raptors. So make sure to leave a like on the video, share, subscribe to the channel, and check me out on Instagram and TikTok at Sports But Casually. Greatly appreciate any support you're willing to give. So let's get into it. With All-Star Weekend already finished up and with All-Star Break finishing today, the Toronto Raptors are finally back in action. Now it's time to see if the front office's belief in this core that we have is justified or not. The Toronto Raptors have 23 games left in the season. They have a record of 28 and 31, which has us 10th in the East and 2 games above the 11th seeded Chicago Bulls. And for us to avoid the play-in altogether and get to the 6th seed, we'll have to go 17 and 6 over these 23 games in order for us to catch up to the Knicks, who are currently in the 6th seed. It's easier said than done because the Raptors have the 5th toughest strength of schedule for the remainder of the season, and it's filled with above 500 teams, teams that are in the top 4 in both conferences, more away games than home games, and a couple of back-to-backs. Now, not all hope is lost. We're getting a lot of our guys back from injuries. OG is supposed to be coming back along with TRENT Jr. and Thaddeus Young. We have not seen OG play with Jakob Poeltl yet, but on paper, adding OG into the starting lineup with Jakob Poeltl or any lineup that they're both on the court would just make it a lot more better defensively. But once again, on paper, the on-court product could yield a lot different, more negative results. Now, with all of our guys coming back from injury, I think the smartest thing to do is have Achiuwa and Gary Trent come off the bench. But since OG has been out to close for a month, I do see a world where Nick Nurse says, he wants to add him back into the rotation slowly but surely and brings him off the bench. But who knows? The remaining 23 games would also give us a good chance to see what Jakob Poeltl would bring to this team. The first 3 games he played, I wouldn't say more of a mixed bag. It was mainly positive. Picked up a lot of fouls, there's no denying that, but showed a lot of promise defensively as we expected, but also offensively, especially in that game against Orlando, I should say. So you get a bigger sample size because so far, 3 games, the sample size is very small. But the main lineup that he was in statistically looks very good. And we'll see, with more time, with a bigger sample size, more playing time, if that trend would continue, if it kind of regress towards the mean, or maybe get better, who knows. So we get to see a lot more of Jakob Poeltl with this team. The way I see it, and I'm sure the way you all see it as well, is that this team has 2 options. Number 1, we put our best foot forward and try to make the playoffs, more likely than not through the play-in tournament. Or 2, we just bottom out, get bad, and get a high draft pick. As, what we should have been doing all year, but I digress. And it's pretty obvious that we should avoid the latter. Let's be real. At this point, there's nothing positive or nothing important that we could gain from not making the playoffs at this point. I thought tanking was the way to go this season. I still believe that. But you made the Jakob Poeltl trade. You decided to keep the rest of your core guys, not make any trades at the deadline. So what? We decided to be buyers. We're going to look to compete. Well, okay, compete, not for championship. We're going to look to try to make the playoffs. So I don't see a world where you make the Jakob Poeltl trade and no other moves and just be like, fuck it. Let's just tank now. Now is going to be the better time to tank. No. Of course, it's going to be hard because the Raptors are a horrible team on the road and they're horrible against teams above 500. But I think we're in a better position, to be competitive and to make a playoff push now than we were at the beginning of the season. Guys like Fred and Achiuwa have really turned this season around after struggling at the beginning. Scottie has been a monster as of recently. We have Jakob Poeltl, the team's first true big man since the 2020 season, and not to mention Siakam is an all-star, one of the best players in the league. So, oddly enough, record-wise, it doesn't look like it, but things have the potential to be looking up. I don't want to jinx it though. If you really think about it, we're 6-4 in our last 10. We should be on a 3-game winning streak, but we absolutely bottled that game against the Jazz. So I think this team is putting together strong performances, streaking together some winning streaks, and have really showed a lot of improvement coming down to the end of the season. Now, I don't think we're going to catch the Knicks at the 6th seed. I think it's, I wouldn't say practically impossible, but very unlikely that we go 17-6 in our last 23 games. But I do think that a realistic goal for us is to try to get to that 8th seed. I think they're within striking distance. And it's better to get, the 7th or the 8th seed. I say the 8th seed because it's a lot easier to grab right now. So getting a top 8 seed, 7th or 8th, just, to make it easier for us to get into the playoffs. I don't think it'll take 2 games for us to get the playoffs, but, who knows. But yeah, Raptors basketball is back. Season's coming out to an end. It's not been a fun season. It's been an interesting season, but interesting in all the wrong ways. I'm not particularly excited about us either not making the playoffs or making the playoffs to be an early first round exit. As I said, I thought tanking was the way to go. Obviously, the people who are getting paid to make those decisions decided against it. There's nothing much I could really do, but my expectations for this season, I'm trying not to have any because they've already disappointed me enough. But, here I am watching the games again because this is the only toxic relationship I'll allow in my life. And I'm fine with that. But what do you guys think? Do you think the Raptors have a chance to make the playoffs? Or would you prefer them, although it'll be, non-beneficial at this point, to bottom out and lose as many games as they can to improve our draft position? As always, let me know in the comments. I will try to rest my voice and hopefully I'll sound normal enough when I see you guys in the next video. Take care.